Abba Patil told me this. I mean, it's in the Sikhs. I don't remember which year it was. That at any rate, it was a Simchas Torah, maybe 3 days like this year. And it turns out that everybody was in 770 much longer than they were at home. Kipshuta, I mean, we're talking sleep hours and meals. They were more in 770 for the Fabrenganish and in the Tvilis, Hakofis, in the house. Around the clock. So the Rebbe Teich then, Shechiyonu v'kimonu v'giyonu. So the simple meaning, of course, is we're thanking Hashem higiyonu for reaching this occasion. The Rebbe Teich higiyonu meloshin yigiya, toil, exhaustion. That we ask the Eibishter that what should be our exhaustion is in these inyonim, Fabrengen, Simchas, and Freiliche Sachen. And that's why we're exhausted. Running and running. That's what we ask for. Adrabah, that's the bracha. That's where the Yegiyah should be. Like they were said, similarly, that we should, at night, what keeps us up is not chas v'shalom worries of Gashmias, where the Akash and the Taisvis and the Maimer, something is bothering. That's what keeps me up. All right, dear friends, let's begin. Hachodesh. So this is Shabbos Parshas Sav, Shabbos Agdol, Yud Beis ניסן Tavshin Chavav. Clearly, this is a Maimer that the Rebbe is saying in connection with the Aleph ניסן, as I wrote. It speaks about Moishe Rabbeinu, and he speaks explicitly, quotes explicitly the capital of that year, as we'll see. So this month that they went out of Mitzrayim, this month where Hashem is talking to Moishe Rabbeinu, so this is your first month. This should be considered for you the first month of the months of the year. Essentially, this is the first mitzvah that Yidden are given. It's the Jewish calendar. Of all 6, 7, and 13 mitzvahs, the calendar is number one. Rashi's famous question, why doesn't Torah start with this, which is the first mitzvah we're given? Now, how is the mitzvah given to us? We're told, right in this pasuk over here, that it's a lunar calendar. It follows the cycle of the moon, and that you should consider, you establish as the month of Yetzias Mitzrayim, later known as ניסן, that name comes later, as the first month. And then we're also told in the context that we have to observe Pesach in the spring. So right in the Hemshech of this parsha, that tells us that we have to adjust the calendar against the solar calendar, which determines the seasons, and hence the leap year and so on. So the Tzemach Tzedek explains, so this Maimah was said just before Zistalkos, the days before Zistalkos. His Zistalkos, of course, was when? Gimel ניסן. It's just significant for us friends because we're post Gimel Tammuz. You see what the Rebbe says here. 100 years ago, Tafresh Ravov, Gedol Mailis Chodesh, and the whole year the Rebbe was kochen sich in the Tzemach Tzedek's Maimorim, particularly ones that had just been redeemed. So he explains the Gedol Mailis Chodesh ניסן and the greatness of the month of ניסן. The Nekuda Se'inyan and the Nekuda of his explanation is as follows. It's already published, but I don't have it. I couldn't find it. Shechodesh ניסן hu harosh, that Chodesh ניסן, the Torah says, his Rosh is the head. Now, what does head mean? As we all know, it's the head of the years, meaning to say that it incorporates, like the brain, the head, the chayas of the whole year, like the brain has the chayas and gives sensitivity and life to every limb and organ of the body. So Rosh Hashanah, and he's going to say Tishrei, is the beginning of Teva. But ניסן is the Rosh, the head of all the inyanim that are higher than Seder Shtalshalus. That's miracles, Shalamalim Teva, beyond Teva. And not just miracles, Vadle Nisim, within miracles itself, miracles of miracles. This is hinted to in the very name, ניסן, which is not given in the Torah. The names were made by the Yid when they came back from Bavel. When they came back from Bavel, that's when That's when they came back with these names, as explained. They've explained well this one over the years at length. But the name ניסן is sheyesh by beis nunin. That the word ניסן has two nuns. Kedisa be Gemara, like it says in Gemara, Shadaim is a ניסן that hints to miracles within miracles. I just read you the Gemara, and they tell us actually look at the Maharsha, see Rashi, and see the Maharsha. So the Gemara says that someone who sees the name Huna in a dream, it's a sign that a miracle will happen to him. If he sees the name Chanina or Chananya or Yochanan, so there's two nuns there in these names. So Nisim Nasaloi, so miracles of the miracles will happen to him. So basically the Maharsha asks, why dafka these names? If you see Huna, what if you see Aaron? Aaron also has a nun. So the Maharsha explains because it's the content. The content. They all, Chanina, Huna, and Chanina, and Chananya, and Yochanan all can imply grace, Hashem's grace. So therefore, one nun is miracle, and two nuns is miracle of miracles. So the Rabbi is saying here, indicating, without saying it, also that ניסן, it's not just two nuns, but it's two nuns in the name ניסן, which means miracles. And that's that the Maharsha explains the Gemara. It's not just Stam Nun, but you got to see a name. Rashi emphasizes that the Gemara means you see the letter Nun in these names, not Stam. Because the names convey miracles, likewise the term ניסן, which conveys ניסן. Well, the Hoyer, and David points out over here, is the Meidike thing coming, friends. I like, why is the Rabbi saying this? This Ha'ora, the connection to Moishe Rabbeinu. He said, Aleph ניסן Maimer. I'm just suggesting that. That this is connected to Moishe Rabbeinu, who was the Geil Rishon, the first Redeemer, which is the whole context here. Through whom the redemption was in the month of Nisan. What's the connection to Moishe? Din Omer Razal. The Medrash says, Moishe and Nisan shall Yisrael. Now, I looked up the Medrash here. So one of the Perushim is Posha the Pshat. I guess that's the Pshat. That Moishe is the one who did the miracles for Yidden. He was the channel for miracles. The Chsiv, as the Pasuk says, describing him at the end of the Torah, the last Pasuk, L'chol ha'osos v'ha'moisim, he was described as what? As the one who did all the signs and wonders in the Asher Asa Moishe, that Moshe Rabbeinu did for Yidden. The Medrash continues. So he is the channel of miracles for Eden. U'miyu Nisa shall Moshe. The Mefarshim explain, and what is the source of Moshe Rabbeinu's miracles? I mean, tzarich iyon k'tzas. What kind of question? Of course, it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kashin, the teret, whatever. Maimon doesn't explain, but it's certainly a diuk. The Medrash continues. So, who is the miracle of Moshe Rabbeinu? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem, Shenema v'yiven Moshe mizbeach. Moshe built a mizbeach. This is in connection with Matan Torah. V'yikra Shmoi. No, this is before Matan Torah. V'yikra Shmoi Hashem Nisi, and he called it Hashem as my miracle. Now, so we see that Moshe Rabbeinu is connected to miracles. Now comes the Meidike V'orot. V'kiven sheMoshe roya v'nasi Yisrael. Since Moshe, the shepherd and the leader, the Nasi of Eden, shemamshich b'nei Yisrael is called in Yonah. He gives everything. And I told you the diak of Rashi, the Rebbe explains, and Nasi Yoakoyel, that lush is not of the Medrash. The Medrash says Moshe, Hem Yisrael Moshe, and the Medrash says Rosh Hador, who can call Hador, and Rashi adds the ancient Nasi Yoakoyel. And the difference is that the Rosh Hador, Kachal Hador, means that his Rosh he gives over. But then he has Madregas, which is Nasi, higher even than Rosh is the head of Ishtal Shalus, which is not connected to the Eden. There's Dargis in him, which is higher. Hanasa Akil, that he gives over also. Not just his Rosh, the head connected to the Guf, like the highest levels of Ishtalshalus, the level of his neshama that's bound up in a conscious way, in a direct way, with every neshama, but even his inyan of Nesius, which is totally beyond that you're saying here now too. This is the Nisim. Shemamshech b'nei Yisrael is kol inyonav. He gives to Eden everything, and since his Nes is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's not Stam Nisim. They get Nisim, but he is connected to the Darg of Nisim. This he gives over also. And the adds in brackets, well, that is it. When you see social bechol, he makes it very clear. And likewise, when again the Nisim of every generation, ubechlolam gam balei lula, including also that Tzemach Tzedek. This is out of your Gimel Nisan. Shmamshichim l'tzoyin marisim is kol in yaneim. They give over to Yidden everything. Vamshachet, no. And the Rebbe adds this. Vamshachet zui gam lachra yistalkus. This is even after the Istalkos, this continues. Kedisa betanya, like in Tanya, Geras HaKodesh, Simen Zach, Simen Chav Zayin, Rebbe calls it Simen Zach. Zach means pure. He brings at the end there as follows. Hazeh explains at length how Yatim B'chayohi, that tzaddik after his passing is more accessible because he's no longer filtered by the guf, and therefore the connection is much deeper, more accessible, more available. But he adds over there, that's only to those who lived with him before his Istalkos. It's only if you're connected before. For those, of course, who are born afterwards, they don't have this Akbala altogether. He says at the end of the Perek, now, the L'chayr, the Pshat translation, says the Alter Rebbe, like the sun, it's based on the Zohar, illuminates below the earth to the 600,000 stars. The 600,000 stars, that's us. This is Eden. The pshat is that even when the sun sets, the stars are still illuminated, even in matzah of cheshech. So the illusion is that even after these talkos, the shemesh, that's Moishe Rabbeinu, was described, the leader of the generations was described as the sun, continues to illuminate Neshama Yisrael even after these talkos. That seems to be the pshat. I was just having an exchange with Zalman about it because I remember hearing his father once giving a talk post Gimel Tammuz, and he addressed this, and it was a whole beard and Chazer. I don't remember it. He doesn't either. He's going to try and look up, find it. It's online. You heard it online. Interesting to hear his father's beard. It was soon after Gimel Tammuz he spoke. But this Inyan, all to say that the Inyan of Nisim, the union of Nesius, of that level of Moshe Rabbeinu that he's connected to. Yid not connected to Nisim. If Moshe is connected to Nisim, this he also gives over. And even after these talkus. How they move and Yisrael, as he concludes, now it's understood that in addition to what the Medrash just says that Moshe is the miracle, the channel for miracles for Yidden. But since he's the faithful shepherd, he gives over his madrega too. He also gives over his connection to the transcendent. Havaya Nisis, he said about the Mizbeach, that God is my Nes, and that was establishing that through Moshe Rabbeinu is drawn down to Eden, not just miracles within miracles. Also, just to be noteworthy, the word Nes, the shaysh of the word Nes is the Nisim is the word Nes actually, period. Also means a standard, a flagpole, something elevated. That's the whole point. It stands high. So these transcendent madregas he gives over. So now continuing, so the pasuk is saying, what's the mitzvah? This month is your first of your 12 months. It's the head of the months, which means again for the whole year. It's the first of the 12 months of the year that you should establish. Which means, what's the point? If it's the head of it, so what's the commandment here? Even the subsequent, the following months of the year, they're all teva, they're not Nisan, and they're not miracles, and certainly not miracle of miracles. But nonetheless, nimshach in Yonesh al Hachodesh Hazeh, the Inyan, this month, which is miracles beyond age, like this, and not just stam miracles, this should be drawn into Teva. That's the mitzvah in the rest of the year. It says the Tzemach Tzedek is all explaining this. That is quoting him. Mamshech, Ois Beis, yeah? Okay, from this point we're learning together. Didn't get to it yet. Mamshech ba'mayme, being in this Chodesh, this Chodesh Tishrei, and the Tzemach Tzedek continues explaining the Ma'al of Chodesh Nis of Tishrei. That's the theme of that Ma'amer. Shalachein Omer Razal. You learned the previous Hachodesh Zelachem. This is a shtickle hemshech. Okay, I'm not going to repeat the teichen of that one. Shalachein Omer Razal Shebenisan Hasid Li Goyel. The mile of Nisan over Chodesh Tishri is that, in fact, even though there's two opinions, but the Medrash, this was mentioned in the previous Maimer, the Medrash Paskans, as it were, that like Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi who? Eliezer, that like Rabbi Yeshua, the Nisan Hasid Li Goyel. Time that Tzemach Tzedek brings several reasons why Dafka Nisan. And it concludes, and another reason why Dafka in the month of Nisan, in light with the Alteba writes in Bashas Mekates, the end of the Maim, which begins, Roni v'simchi b'tzion, rejoice. Delight and Roni means Rina, expression of rejoicing. O daughter of Tzion, Drusha Rishin, there's several Maimorim which begin with that Dibra Maschel, the first one. So they ended that first Maimer. He says that Alter Rebbe, Binyan Gimel Bechinas, the three levels of Eden by which Hashem refers to us and relates to us. And the Medrash says, in explaining why here Yidden are called daughter, why Bas Tzion. So the Medrash says, and marshal of a king who had a beloved, and Leizaz Mechavava, he did not move away from expressing his endearment. It's an interesting expression, but that's how we find this in Medrash. Ha'tshekora biti, he calls my daughter, Achaisi, my sister, Imi, my mother. These are the various expressions, and etc. Rayosi, Achaisi, he says Achaisi, Tamosi, Imi, the various expressions of endearment found in Shir Hashirim, in the Pasuk. Ulosid Lovai, so L'chayre, as we learned, if you remember, we learned a Maimah Kel Doidi. The lowest Madrege is daughter, because daughter is Makabel. Achaisi is equivalent. Rayosi, my nourisher, that kind of where mashpia, and the Imi is even the highest. The Imi, the mother, that as the pasuk says, the mother crowned Shleima Melech in the day of his chassid, is referring to Matan Torah, and that's the union of the highest madrega l'chayre. But always the paradox, no, that Biti, the daughter, which is the makabel, the pnimius, the shadish is higher. And therefore, when the whole kavanah is fully realized, then the level of biti, Yidden is simply as a makabel, the lowest, the avodah of iskafia and so on, struggling with the yitzhahara, biti, and a dependent as it were, that level be elevated by yeses with greater intensity, even higher than the madreg of mother, which the pasuk describes, that Yidden crowned the Eibishter on by Matan Torah. You know the pasuk, go out and see our daughters of Tzion in the crown that his mother crowned the king Shleima in the day of his wedding, all a reference to Matan Torah. That's Yidden on the highest madreg. El al derech, what's going to be lots of love? Ishes chayil hateres, by not only she giving a crown, but Yidden they are the crown. They are the crown of her husband. So that's the thing of what. So now concluding, said that Tzemach Tzedek. So Tishrei hu b'chinas imo ilo bina. Tishrei is when is the madrege of Bina, which is a reference to Bina's mother, Ema Ban Mismecha. Male is Chochma, the seed and the Kuda, and mother is Bina, the development. So Tishrei is the madrege, our relationship with Hashem, a very high madrege, where you're not described as what, and connect to, and are described as the supernal mother, Bina. But Nisan is even higher. So that's a Tzedek. That's the final explanation, explaining why the goal is in Nisan, because Nisan is a madrege shnikras bas. Nisan is the level of daughter. Again, in the story, we're recipients. God comes and takes us out. We're completely dependent on Him and beneficiaries. And the lowest madrege, well, in the story, they're holding by Memtesh Ari Tumah. But at the end, through Aveda, is Nizgala, the Shodesh, which is the ultimate and highest Shodesh. Okay, so that's what he says there. That's the Tzedek and explaining the Mile of Nisan. Then he says, after going, I'd love to see the other reasons. I don't have the text. If I find it, I'll share with the other reasons as well. So after explaining the reasons why Dafka Nisan is the month of redemption, strangely, it seems, he explains the Mile of Tishrei. Chodesh Hashvi, the 7th month. The Chol HaShavin Chavivin, all 7th are beloved. There's something in Tishrei that's higher than this. Now, end of statement. We need to look into this. Is this part of the flow of the Maimer, or it's a parenthesis? Or an addition, kind of in parenthesis, Birud Dvarim, Birud Dvarim means he's clarifying matters. And the discussion being in Nisan V'Tishrei, the contrast of Nisan V'Tishrei. Okay, Tzorech what the Rebbe is saying here. Is it integral to the Maimer, or is it just a kind of a what?
Maimer HaMusker.
Can't hear you. A what?
Maimer HaMusker.
Maimer HaMusker, yeah. B'chol leif that he moving, either way the Rebbe asks. If you're explaining the Maimer of Tishrei, this contradiction, because its conclusion of that little discussion is the Maimer of Tishrei. So it contradicts the whole Hemshech HaMaimer, she's B'Eliel. As we pointed out before, the Mile of Nisan of Tishrei, it's all to bring out the Mile of Nisan of Tishrei. So what's the pshat? He's Gimel. Yeah, but he's with me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, for Yuvan, good. For Yuvan, api mai mechak mod v'chamiyad mod be'amaskos achedesh elechem h'tשכ. Understand this by introducing the mind of the Fidik Rebbe that he said in 1940. And the Rebbe adds in brackets, he said it when it came to this country. Now, that's significant. It's significant. In Pashtus, because it's all going to be about Dafka the Tacht, the Mile of Bas. He said that not in the old country, but Dafka in America, Chatzi Kadra Tachtna, which is the lower hemisphere. America's lower hemisphere is divided. That's how the world is positioned. There too, he explains the mile of Nisan of Tishrei. That's what the Medrash concludes in the two opinions. That when will be the goal in Nisan? So the Fidik Rebbe explains several reasons for this. Tama Aleph, first reason. Shbinyan Asvidis in a Nisan or Chesed v'Tishrei Gvura. Svidis, so Nisan is higher. Nisan is Chesed, Tishrei is Gvura. V'uzman adin v'mishpat, and Tishrei is the time of judgment, din and judgment. And even though Shal Yedei Mitzvah Tkiyah Shoifa Shinyonik Tshuva, even though it's not exclusively din, it starts that way, but it ends with rachamim, because you didn't do tshuva. Payal liyos omed mekisei din The Eibishter gets up, as it were, from his throne of judgment and sits in the throne of mercy. And that's why we have to blow that's the remez, we have to blow the shofar from the narrow side to the wide side. The sound's got to go that way, not the other way, and not Yotze. Simple reason, because that's not the way it grows. But the deeper reason is because you got to go from the narrowness to the broadness, not the other way, from din to rachamim. Umaracham alamay, and he has mercy. So what are we saying? The Tishrei is din, it's rachamim. Nonetheless, because the time is a time of judgment. That's the overall period. The whole all of the inhabitants of the world pass before him in judgment. But the judgment is a way of mercy. But it's a time of midas adin. So therefore, that's the mile of Nisan. Therefore, the mile of Nisan should be chesed higher than gvura. Reason number one. Tama Bay, second reason, like you learned in the previous Maimon, right? Pesach is a revelation that comes exclusively and initially from Hashem. Tishrei, God's response of forgiveness and so on, the arousal from above is a consequence. It comes through our Aveda from below. And therefore what? He explains there, the Frierdiker Rebbe, this was spoken about at the end of the previous Maimon, right? In the arousal from above, there are two levels. One is God's response that comes as a result of an after our Avodah. So therefore it's a limited revelation because it's commensurate to our Avodah. But then then there's a revelation, God's absolute revelation, that we cannot even reach. So that's obviously greater. Pure is God uncompromised, beyond our reach as created beings, created by creation. I mean, even part of the highest levels of Ishtal Shalos. That's a level revealed on Pesach. A revelation, as it were, from itself, meaning to say it cannot be summoned, cannot be elicited. It's given because God gives it. In simple language, it's God's absolute bond to us and love, irrespective of what we do or don't do. So it's this, so the redemption, blessed love, is going to be what kind of revelation of Alikus, this essential, irrevocable, unconditional, totally beyond our virtue or lack thereof. That's what's revealed in Nisan, and therefore the Geula is going to be when? Dafke Nisan. And now comes the Shaila. So till now was the Frierdiker Rebbe. Yeah, what he's following. Didn't you do a Maila? But we're missing something because there is a Maila. There's a Maila of a revelation of a relationship with God that's not one way, but it comes as a result of our avodah. What's the Maila? The given Shabbat David Adam. If we open up and it comes through our avodah, so he's become a keli to the revelation that comes to him. And you unite with it. Why? Because you're invested in the relationship, not just simply swept away, and it only works as long as you're being swept away. But afterwards, you revert back to your old. How did Moishe Polta? How do you say it? I used a strong word, miserable self. That is a but when you're invested, it's in a way of kiyum, right? A very simple, basic idea in Chassidus, that there's two ways to teach, etc. Engage the children or just mesmerize them, which is wonderful, but it only works while you're mesmerizing. And when you're not mesmerizing them, that's it. They fall back to the old ways, and they even will forget what they learned because they didn't invest in it. But when it's a revelation, we're not engaged in the process. It's not part of the relationship. Godless, mindless, it's an incredible revelation. It's a revelation that's beyond our ken. It's the teacher in all of his glory. It's like Matan Torah. So that's the Maila, but there's a big chsaron. If we're not in part of the process and it wasn't elicited through our avodah, we're not a keli. So we're just swept away. So the whole revelation, the whole inspiration is over. It's good while it lasts, and afterwards. So he's asking, beautiful, it comes in ניסן, but where's the pnimius? Where's the lasting? As he goes on to say, that's why what happened, the whole thing was revelation from above. When the shofar stopped, Yovel is a reference to the shofar. They could approach the mountain, the divine presence departed, and the revelation stopped. And not only that, but he didn't say, look what the Rabbi says here, the Lashon. Not that there was Chet HaEgel. He doesn't want to say that. He said it could be Chet HaEgel. You follow? It's the opposite of Matan Torah. So that's a big chsar. And yet still we're saying nonetheless in Agulas the Shiti ניסן, and yet we're saying that the final redemption, which is the ultimate shleimus, is going to be in ניסן. Revelation that's unsolicited. That's God Himself beyond our reach, beyond our investment, beyond our avodah. And yet we say, here's the shaila, Tia Gula Shleima Shenacharel Golos. Golus chas v'shalom. That will endure. There will never be a golus. Inyan shel kayama, it'll endure, which means it'll be bepnimius. How is it bepnimius if it's something beyond us? Something beyond you can't be bepnimius. Answer. Now comes the answer. No, still part of the shaila. Vayna lefisha tia b'chnes hayis now b'sarusa de le'elo. No, this is the answer.
This is the answer.
This is the answer. Because it's going to be such a madregish in a sudilitata magastashom. It's within the Sarusa de La'el itself, it's going to be the highest level, which Taka our Aveda cannot reach. She'oz in a gam kasha ish vaziyat chila. It's going to be within the Sarusa de La'el, the higher level. Usually, if ish maziyat chila in the creation of a child, so if he seeds first, you let us nakeva. If she seeds first, you let us zachar. What does it mean beruchnius? That if dam shacha, the relationship with Hashem is only him, you let us nakeva. Nakeva means a weak, not enduring offspring. Result it means the midas, the inspiration don't last. But if isha maziyat chila, if the yid invests, then you let the zachar. However, lasid lavai, it's going to be the mile of both. Okay, we'll pick this up again tomorrow. We have to start at 7:00. Okay. Be'ez Hashem, good to see everybody, and we'll continue Be'ez Hashem tomorrow.